Hey, this is Judah Mantel for SceneForge Studio, and in this video I'm going to go over version 0.7.6. It's a minor improvement over the last version. It's a pretty quick turnaround time, because this one actually includes the image keyer that I mentioned in a previous video. Now, if you don't know what an image keyer is, it's essentially very similar to a chroma keyer, except instead of specifying a color, like we have been doing with this system, we can actually specify a clean plate, it's called. And what a clean plate is essentially just an image of your backdrop, of your environment, without your subject. Meaning that rather than comparing the color values, it can actually compare the pixel values, so you get much more accurate keys, as well as even being able to remove parts that are not green screen at all. So you can see I have my source footage here, and you see in this new version, rather than selecting a key color, we also have another button next to it that allows us to open up an image. And we can select a clean plate from our folder here. So I'm going to open up this one, as you see here. And this is essentially a screenshot from the video that I edited in Photoshop to actually remove my subject. So it's not perfect because it's not an actual photograph of my set, or the set of the video, but it will work good enough for this video. So I'm going to select that here. And you'll see now when I move my mouse over it, you can see the preview of the clean plate over there. And the color key options get grayed out because you currently have an image active. So now I can go to my Luma mask to quickly adjust that, same as before. And now if I go to my alpha mask, you'll see that using the same controls, it now removes much more than the other version. Because now it knows that everything over here is actually garbage also. It's not supposed to be in the frame. And knows that only the stuff that's changed, basically our character here, is what is going to be kept. Now, you'll notice that there's a little artifact in the right-hand side. That's because if you look at the source input, this video actually has a moving camera. You see, it's very subtle, but it is moving. And that's what's worth noting, that image keying does not work with a moving camera, because it expects the clean plate and your source footage to be as identical as possible. Now, you'll see that despite this, it is working fine, or good enough, because the motion is not too extreme. But as long as we cover that with a crop or a garbage mat, this will work totally fine. But just keep that in mind. For more advanced or more extreme camera motion, you're probably going to want to use the content-aware clipping, and that'll help you with that. But until then, you'll see we get a much more detailed key than before. If I increase the alpha strength, lower the threshold, or raise the threshold a little bit, you can see we can adjust it this way. We still get all the same controls for basically everything else, from color to despill, cropping, and everything, and that all works exactly as you'd expect. Now, what's cool about this system is that because it knows the difference in pixels for the entire frame, I can even get some of the shadows around her feet to be retained. Now again, because the clean plate is artificial and not an actual picture, it's not perfect. It's just Photoshop, the clone stamp tool, but you'll see it allows us to retain some of these shadows around her feet, and we can adjust the alpha strength to change the transparency, which may be useful for overlay footage if she's not walking further from the camera, and things like that. So you can see now we keep all our shadows, and we can change the despill like so. So overall, this is a much more advanced technique that works basically the same way from a user experience point of view. You still use the threshold and the alpha strength, but instead of a color, you're just specifying an image. In the future, I hope to have tools for creating these clean plates directly within SceneForge, so you don't have to take a picture on set or even have to go into Photoshop. Hopefully, you'll be able to adjust that manually within the software, but that's for down the line. Additionally, there's going to be a function that allows you to just capture a clean plate from your footage. So let's say I have a frame as part of the video where she's not on the set yet. So she's like walking off and then walks on. I can just take a snapshot and use that as the clean plate, which would be very useful as well. And so with that is what's new in this release. I recommend experimenting with this system and use different images and clean plates just to see which works best for your use case. Sometimes images will be better, sometimes color keys will be better. It all depends on the lighting of your scene, as well as your overall use of the software. And so with that, thank you so much for watching. I hope you get good use out of this feature. I will see you in the next video.